All right. Hello. We are back again already with episode 2 of the Munch's Make Believe Band podcast. Again, we are recapping the startup draft that took place a couple of years ago, back in 2022. And we're going to really try to get through this as fast as possible because I want to get to present day. I do want to do some quick season recaps of the previous seasons as well, and previous rookie drafts as well. But I really want to get through this pretty quickly, as quickly as we can. So we're going to go ahead and move straight on. I do want to go back and give Tim some props. I don't know if I mentioned it last night. I said a lot of things last night. I don't think I did, but I want to give him some props for picking Khalil Shakir. It hasn't really panned out yet. I do think he has a good role in that offense going forward. And they obviously trust him. He signed a huge extension this offseason, so he's going to play. At the time he was a rookie, of course he's going to take rookie from his favorite team, but I did want to go ahead and give him some props there. For a decent late round pick. It doesn't make up for the fact he took Gabe Davis in the 6th round. But hey, he's a Bills fan, so whatever. Alright, so moving on ahead. The 3rd slot, we have Archie, friend of Seattle, who dominated redraft leagues that we were in prior to this. And we'll talk more about him as we go along with this. Archie's also the first time, at least chronologically in draft order, we see someone make a trade. Yurden and Tim made no trades in the startup. That's a theme with Yurden. Yurden, not a big trader, very active member of the league, but not a big trader. Tim is a big trader. He trades quite often, and we will obviously get into that. Archie, though, really took advantage of trading here, and we really saw the beginnings of what is a theme for Archie going forward, already here in the first night. Actually, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd day of the draft where he's trading future first-round picks for players. And I do have these. I'll talk about some of these trades that happened in the startup because I do have that information available because of that whole spreadsheet thing I did for the first season, and then I realized that Sleeper tracks all this. I just don't feel like going back and looking at it. But yeah, Archie, pick 103. Again, we're going to go through it by roster, so we'll start with his quarterbacks. And he took a quarterback in the 7th round, and that quarterback was Deshaun Watson. Honestly, kind of a bold pick there. Great player for his first couple years in the league. I think we all remember how dominant he was, especially in that 2020 season where he almost did for 5,000 yards. But then the whole... I don't know. We all know what happened, the massage scandal, and then injuries. He's not been a good pick. I think Archie would agree with this. Archie's biggest detriment is quarterback, and I think he thought he was getting something better than he was with Deshaun Watson. He then took Tom Brady in the 13th round. Tom Brady was a very effective fantasy quarterback in 2021, but he was 42 years old or whatever it was. He threw for over 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, and he was perfectly fine in 2022 and was his starter, if I remember correctly, and did just fine, obviously. We'll talk about that later. But Tom Brady, in Dynasty, picking a 40-year-old usually isn't the best idea, but hey, it did work out for him. Again, we'll get into that later, as you all know, or most of you know. And then we have... he picks for his 3rd and final quarterback. He goes with Ryan Tannehill, who was a starter at the time, at least the year before we drafted. He was a starter in Tennessee. Give me 1 second. Just got a text. Okay. Sorry, I just did a Love Island text. Just finished the finale. So, anyways, Ryan Tannehill it's a whatever pick. He's usually quarterback 3. I'm not planning to use him. And I don't think he started many games for Archie or for the Titans after 2022 or 2021, I guess I should say. Okay, moving on to his running backs. He went and decided to go running back heavy, actually. For the first 3 rounds, through the first 5 rounds, he picked 3 running backs. Alvin Kamara, James Conner, and David Montgomery. And this is an unsung hero of his team. Those 2 guys are still today. Alvin Kamara and James Conner, at the time of the Dynasty Draft, not old, but not young. They're not like your Breece Halls or your Travis Etienne's of that era, or today your Bijans, your Gentis, whatever. But they were obviously very solid picks. Kamara's been a fringe RB1, RB2 for him. Obviously gets 1 million targets a year. And then James Conner seems to be, ageless wonder here, who's had 3 RB2, fringe RB1 seasons with Archie. And that's really been a strength of him, never having to add a running back. Because we'll talk about his team in the future, and his running backs haven't really changed all that much, if I'm remembering correctly. I guess he has added running back, but he did actually make a huge acquisition. But he still has those other guys on his roster. He still has Kamara and Conner, and they still play for him. Him picked David Montgomery. Of course, at this time he was in Chicago, and I think this is a fine pick. Obviously, he's not an RB1. He does have that upside week to week, just with the Lions offense. Obviously, I'm very familiar with the Lions offense, but he's got the ability to go off for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had multiple 2-touchdown games. He has dealt with some injuries in his career, but I think this is a fine pick for your RB3, a guy who's going to just slot in and play. He didn't know he was going to Detroit. He didn't end up trading. We'll talk about that later. And then to round off for the first 13 or 12 rounds, whatever it was, running backs, he grabbed Tony Pollard in the 10th round, which I think is proving now to be a fantastic pick. I mean, he was the backup. I believe Zeke was still around and was still the lead back in Dallas at the time. Pollard, rattled off an RB8 season in the first year of the dynasty, and has slowed up a little bit. Didn't have as good of a year in Tennessee, but that happens when you're playing for a horrific team. So I think this was a fantastic pick. He's older now. Archie's going to have to address running back at some point. He does now. We'll talk about in the season preview who he has now. He's got one young running back, James Cook, but everyone else is aging. And then on to the meat and potatoes of Archie's roster here. Wide receiver. Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, 1 first or second round. I mean, really no comments there. 2 home run picks, if you ask me. A.J. Brown was in 10. No, he was in Philly. Didn't have as good of a year this past year, but he did have to deal with injuries. But I mean, to pick the best player in the league, arguably the best player in fantasy football, especially dynasty fantasy football, and Jamar Chase at number 3 is a pretty good deal. I mean, he has had some injury issues, but last year he was unbelievable, and there's no reason to think he's not going to do the same thing. I mean, they added the offensive line. They didn't really have much to the defense. They're going to have to score 50 points a game again if they want to win the game. But yeah, just 2 home run picks. He didn't address wide receiver again until the 8th round, and Alan Lazard. This is probably his first bad pick, I would say. Well, no, Deshaun Watson was his first bad pick. But Alan Lazard was a bad pick. I mean, 8th round, you could have gotten a guy like Brandon Ayuk, even Adam Thielen, for a couple of years would have been better than what you got out of, Alan Lazard. I'm also a severe hater of Alan Lazard, being that he is a Green Bay Packer, was a Green Bay Packer. But yeah, could have done better there. But when you hit a home run on your first 2 picks, you can afford to have a fringe wide receiver, 3. He then comes back and rounds off his top 12 rounds with 2 more wide receivers, Christian Kirk and Jacoby Myers. Christian Kirk did play well for him. Was a contributor for that first year. He did deal him, unfortunately, to me. We'll talk more about that later. And Jacoby Myers, again, has kind of been an unsung hero. He's a wide receiver 3, putting up wide receiver 3 numbers consistently. But that's something that a lot of guys don't have on their roster. They don't have a guy that's, going to get you 8 to 10 points a game, 8 to 12 points a game, every game. And that's really what he does. He's a very consistent player. I'm just looking at his last year. I mean, he did have a couple of injuries, but he's averaging, let's see, points. Yeah, anywhere between 9 and 15 a game, and he had some big games in there as well. Obviously, there wasn't much going on outside of Brock Bowers and the Raiders' offense last year, but it's a good pick. And then to round off, unprofessional. To round off, holy cow! I'm sorry, I'm just looking at this trade that came about. And I'm going to talk about it in a second, and I wish that I would have kept my picks. Anyways, TJ Hawkinson, he decided to trade for. He traded it to me. I originally drafted TJ Hawkinson in the 5th round, and I traded him away for Dallas Goedert, a 2023 first and a 2023 second. Now, unfortunately for me, those 2 picks turned out to be home runs. The 2023 first turned out to be Devon Achane, and the 2023 second turned out to be Chase Brown. And obviously, I don't have either of them on my team now, or else I might be a league winner. And I don't have Dallas Goedert anymore. And he still does have TJ Hawkinson, and he's been hit and miss. When he's on the field, he's fantastic for Minnesota, but he just misses quite a few games. I think it's a good tight end to have, though. And then he rounded off his top 13 with Zach Ertz. Picked him, and he had a good year his first year, but hasn't. Actually, sorry, he did not. He had coming off a great year in Arizona. Tight end 5, and then he really hasn't done anything. He was okay last year in Washington. Better than okay. Wow, I didn't realize he was so good. And I think he's still there. Tight end 7 is crazy. I did not think that he was that good, but hey, I mean, that's a good backup tight end to have, or even starting tight end to have. Overall, Archie gets an A+. Obviously, we'll talk about more so why later on when we do the recap. He does win the league, but yeah, that's a very, very, very solid startup from Archie there. Okay, moving on to another guy who does not buck the trend here of having bad drafts. What I'm trying to say is another good draft out of Trev. Trev also continues the theme of making trades during the startup. He only makes 1 trade during the startup, but he does make a very good trade for reasons I will get into in 1 second. And yeah, this one stings for sure for me. But yeah, Trev, of course, had the 104. And with the 104, he picked, another home run. Oh wait, sorry, this is not how I do things. Already forgetting how I do my own podcast. So we are going to go to Trevor's team, and we're going to go quarterbacks down. First quarterback he takes in the 9th round is Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, fresh off his Super Bowl winning season, 4,800 yard, 41 touchdown, 17 picks. He threw 17 picks that year, Jesus. Super Bowl winning year, and he's been a solid quarterback too. Had some injury issues the first year of the league, but a solid quarterback too. He's getting old now. You probably want more out of your maybe more youth, or you want to be your quarterback 3, or you need to have a rookie or second, third year guy there to be ready to take over as your quarterback 2. He'd be fine as a starter, but I don't know. I'd be looking for a little bit more. I don't foresee him improving. I'm trying to think. I don't think they drafted a receiver unless I'm... Oh, they got Devontae Adams. Yeah, he might be in for a resurgence here. That's actually crazy. I totally forgot about that. But he does come back. Trev does come back and pick up another quarterback a couple of rounds later in Trevor Lawrence. Being a Jaguars fan, this is a good pick for him, I think. Young at the time, he was coming off of a not so great year, but he was a rookie. So what do you expect? He did have a couple of good quarterback 1/quarterback 2 years, the first couple years in the dynasty, and did take a step back this past year. Was injured as well, but not a bad pick, not a bad quarterback duo if you ask me. Obviously, you could get better than that, but you can also do much worse than this. And I personally think Trevor Lawrence is in for a huge resurgence. I think he's going to have a huge year. I am a Travis Hunter hater, but he's talented. So having Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter, and I think what's going to be a revamped offense with Liam Cohen going there. I think they're going to run the ball a lot, but I think it's going to open up opportunities for Lawrence to sling it. And then rounding off his quarterbacks, he picked Davis Mills, who I don't believe is in the league anymore. Oh my God, he is in the league. He's played games last year. Jesus. Oh my God. Not a bad pick. I'm pretty sure he was. No, I think he was the starter for 1 year there. He didn't do well. Obviously, he's not the starter anymore with C.J. Stroud, but whatever. It's a third quarterback in the 20th round. You can't do much better than that. So I think it's a fine pick. But yeah, that's Trev's quarterback room. Running backs, he went running back heavy. Again, another guy who picks 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds. And he picks Nick Chubb at the 209, Josh Jacobs at the 409, and Antonio Gibson at the 504. Nick Chubb, fantastic. Is the first year of the league. Running back 6, tons of touches, and then that horrific injury week 2 of 2023 where his leg just, I don't even want to think about it. So gross. And has not been the same player since. So if you ask me in 2022, that's a home run pick. He was still young-ish and still very good, and didn't really expect what happened to happen. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. With the injuries, that's not a good pick. But you don't know. It didn't look like that at the time, and I don't think that was the wrong pick there at all, especially after the run of running backs that just went before him. Josh Jacobs, again, gotta hate on Josh Jacobs now that he's a Packer. I did love this pick at the time, though, and he was amazing that first year of the dynasty. 1,600 yards, 12 touchdowns, 60 targets. Great pick through 1 year, and he's really proving to be a phenomenal pick later on in his career. I mean, he was running back 6 last year. Didn't have a great year in 2023. Was injured. Had a very low yard per carry, but that was mostly due to how horrific Vegas has been. Oh, excuse me. I think this is a good pick, and it's proving to be kind of a cornerstone for Trev's roster. And that's what you want if you're out of one of your top picks. So good pick there, I think, for Trev, even though he's a Packer, and it pains me to say that. Antonio Gibson, this is where I can't give you flowers here. At the 504, I don't disagree with the logic. He was coming off of a 1,000-yard rushing season in Washington, and he just has never been that same guy. Now he's in New England, backing up Ramondre Stevenson, and now backing up Ramondre Stevenson, who's backing up Trayvon Henderson. So I can't say this is a good pick. He's not turned out to be what you would have hoped, but I obviously can't hit on everything. And there were a couple of running backs you could have picked outside of him, but it's not a bad pick at the time. But now I can't say it's too good of a pick. But moving on to, again, what is considered definitely to be the strength of Trev's team, wide receivers. Goes ahead and picks Justin Jefferson again, just a home run pick there. Did have injury in 2023, but was still unbelievable for the 10 games that he had him. Just 1,000 yards in 10 games. Just a fantastic player, fantastic pick. Now that he's on my team, he's definitely gonna tear another ACL or tear something, die, whatever. No doubt in my mind about that. But a great pick at the 104. Comes back and makes a trade in the 6th round. Trades up 2 spots to get Amon-Ra St. Brown. Only has to give up a second. And I mean, hindsight 2020, this one stings because he does jump me. I was not going to pick him. I'll talk more about that in a second. But he does jump ahead of me and takes Amon-Ra St. Brown. And what a home run pick that is. For Trev, again, fantastic player. Wide receiver 7, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 3 the last 2 years. Sorry, the last 3 years. Home run pick. A little biased. Then he comes back with Devontae Smith and Cortland Sutton at rounds 7 and 8. Devontae Smith had a great year his first year, and has really taken a step back. Had some injury issues, but also just that offense doesn't throw the ball maybe as much as you'd hope, especially when you have an alpha like A.J. Brown there as well. But he's still young and still a very talented receiver. I think it's a good piece to have for your dynasty team. I think it was a good pick overall in the 7th round. You can't do much better if I'm looking at the guys around him who was picked. I think that's a fantastic pick. And Cortland Sutton has quietly been okay. Really more wide receiver 4, flex 1, flex 2 play. But been solid and had a really good year last year. A career resurgence, really, with Bo Nix. And I think you can really expect that to keep trending upward. Because Bo Nix isn't going anywhere unless he gets injured. But I think this is going to prove to be now a good pick here. He's not getting any younger, of course. There's not many, not much competition there. I mean, they did draft Pat Bryant. And they have Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin are both kind of young, but not really that good. So I think Cortland Sutton's in for a big year, and I'm a fan of that pick for sure. And then moving on, that's the last wide receiver he takes within the top 12. Moving on to running backs. Moving on to tight ends. I did miss a few. No, we'll do that. We'll do that later. And then tight ends, he only takes one in the top 12 rounds, and that. And sorry, that is Darren Waller, who is now back in the league. Don't love this pick, not gonna lie. He was really good those couple years in Oakland. Vegas for the Raiders. I guess 1 year in Oakland and then 1 year for the Raiders for Vegas. But he just hasn't been consistent. I think Trev got off of him, traded him away at the right time, but I can't defend this one as not a great pick, and he didn't really address tight end after that, but I can't win them all. And then rounding out the top 12, James Robinson in the 10th and Chuba Hubbard in the 11th. James Robinson, I think we all wanted to pick him because he started a couple of games for Jacksonville towards the end of the year, looked really good, and then they just, I think, traded him to the Jets. And he didn't do anything there. James' RB1 season was over before it began, and that's kind of sad. I really like James Robinson, and I don't know, I guess they picked up ETN, but I don't know. That was tough. I did like him as a player. And then Chuba Hubbard in the 11th round. I think this is a great pick as well. Was behind McCaffrey for a couple of years, and then has really taken over as the main guy there in Carolina. Fringe RB1 season, but a consistent at least RB2 for Trev here the last couple of years. And I think that was a very, very good steal there in the 12th or 11th round. As for the rest of the draft, I don't see anything of note. Takes Ocala boy Freddie Swain in the 28th round, but not a bad at all draft for Trev, and he really builds his team out and builds on from here with those pieces that he picked up in the startup. Okay, unfortunately we have to move on to me now, my draft. I am overly critical of myself, like I mentioned, in all situations, but man, I hate this draft looking back. It's so bad. I don't know what I was thinking, but here we are. It's literally every pick I make, I'm like, why would you not pick this guy? Or why would you pick this guy? God, I'm just looking at it again. It's so bad. Okay, let's get started. Starting off with quarterbacks, I take the second quarterback off the board. I'm the second person to take a quarterback. Josh Allen goes first. Take Justin Herbert. What are you thinking taking Justin Herbert? I'm trying to get into my headspace. Just finished quarterback 2, 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, just about rushing upside, and he's just not even come close to that. He's been a fringe quarterback 1, solid quarterback 2 throughout his career. But you could have had a guy like Joe Burrow. Why didn't you take Joe Burrow? Why didn't you take Lamar Jackson? What are you doing? I just don't understand my thought process there. Looking at the stats, I understand why I did it. Because he was better at that point. He had better stats than Joe Burrow. He didn't have the injury history, the injury concern of a running back. Excuse me, a running quarterback like Lamar Jackson. But man, that one kind of stings when you think about who you could have had. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter because it's a 1 QB league. But it does still hurt. And then to round out my quarterbacks, I take Kenny Pickett. I took Kenny Pickett, man. What are you doing? Again, I understand the logic. 16th round, whatever. It's not that big a deal. He was projected to be the starter for Pittsburgh. So I guess it was a fine pick. But not really. I mean, 16th round, what else you can do? I do think a steal here is Jared Goff. Jared Goff in the 20th round. I think that's a steal. That might be my best pick of the draft. Finished quarterback 10, 7, and 6 in the last 3 years of this league. He's not on my team. I traded him, I think, for a first at some point. I don't know. Yes, Jared Goff, Darnell Mooney, and a 2023 third for Michael Gallup and a 2023 first, which I then picked Dalton Kincaid, who I then traded back to Tim. It all comes full circle. That's a ridiculous trade. Pretty sure I traded him Michael Gallup too. That's insane. Hang on, I gotta look at this. Oh my god. Michael Gallup. No, I didn't. Okay, he never ended up back on Tim's team, but that would have been really funny. I did drop him. He's on Joe's team now. But still, that is a funny trade. Jared Goff, Darnell Mooney, who is now on Nate's team. Anyways, that runs at the quarterbacks. Overall, I think so far of the teams we've talked about, I think I have the best quarterback room. Had the best quarterback room at this time, which doesn't really matter in a QB or a 1 QB league. You need a quarterback, but I don't know why I went quarterback heavy. And then comes the rough couple of picks here. I go running back. You could have had CeeDee Lamb. You could have had Devontae Adams. You could have had A.J. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Oh my God, it's just like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, my first 2 picks. Najee Harris, again, I think about what I was thinking then. I want a young running back. He was rookie year, 1,200 yards, 100 targets, near 100 targets in 94. Doesn't miss games. I'm thinking this is a great pick, great cornerstone piece, and he just wasn't. He was a fringe RB1. His first year now is a solidified RB2, and who knows what he's going to be like in Los Angeles without an eye. Apparently, shot his eye out with a firework. And then Joe Mixon. I finished as RB10, and then I traded him because he shot a kid or something, shot at a kid, or someone in his house shot at a kid. So I traded him for nothing, and then he got traded for 2 firsts or whatever it was. I don't know. This pick, I didn't like Joe Mixon. I remember my thought process. Redraft every year. If I picked him, he was terrible. If I didn't pick him, he was great. And I regret this pick. I regret both of those picks, man. I could be a freaking league winner if I would have picked, well, obviously hindsight 2020. And then I round out my top 12 with 3 more running backs. Ramondre Stevenson. I'm a Ramondre Stevenson stan. I love this guy. I don't know why. I think it's because, I don't know why. I have no idea. He was fantastic in 2022, and I should have traded him then, but I didn't. And he has been terrible. RB3, not even a viable starter the last couple of years. But if and when Trayvon Henderson goes down, Seattle will buy him for 2 firsts because he needs them. And I pick Isaiah Spiller. I mean, come on. I was taking a swing at a rookie. He was just awful. Averaged 2.3 or 2.4 a carry over his career. I don't think is on a roster anymore. Just a terrible pick. Just a stupid, try to be cute pick. Just take the easy pick. Just take a freaking Chua Hubbard. Like he's the same age. Like what are you doing? And then Kenneth Gainwell, whatever. I got off the Kenneth Gainwell ride early, and I got some picks back for him. But yeah, second and a third, I'll take that 100%. But just a dumb pick. I don't know. I was going for backup running, but who could have predicted that he was going to have to back up Saquon Barkley? But, whatever, I digress. This is just a terrible draft so far. I hate every single pick. And it doesn't really stop because I end up picking Deontay Johnson in the 4th round. And then for some reason I just decided I hate this pick, and I traded him for a first, which I ended up getting Jahmyr Gibbs with that first. Sky Moore and Terrace Marshall, who are startup picks I eventually take. Oh, I'm happy I don't have Deontay Johnson on my team because that was a horrific pick. Like, just god awful. Like, what am I thinking? Again, I look at his stats. He was fine. He was very good that 2021 season. And then he just has been awful the last couple of years. So, terrible pick. Glad I got off of that ride. And then I did take DJ Hawkinson in the 5th round. Already talked about that trade, which, even though I won the trade, in my opinion, I Dallas Goedert a first and a second. I lost the trade because I don't have any of those freaking players anymore. So I would rather have DJ Hawkinson. And then back to the players I did have. I kept my wide receiver room is just awful. Oh my god! My first 12 rounds, I picked 4 wide receivers, not including Deontay Johnson, and they are Amari Cooper, not on a team. Darnell Mooney, who's had a career resurgence, I will say that. It's Sky Moore and Tyler Lockett, who, just not good. Not good at all. Amari Cooper was fine for me for a year. He was a wide receiver 1 for 1 year. I guess kind of 2 years. And then just bad last year. Traded him, so I'm happy about that. Excuse me. Darnell Mooney, another guy that I did trade. Wasn't good. I don't know why I picked the Bear. Why do you pick a Bear receiver? Dealt with injuries there. Kind of finding that resurgence that we saw from 2021 in Atlanta with Cousins and Penix going forward. And then Sky Moore. Like, quit trying to be freaking cute and taking the young, quote-unquote stuff. He had everybody fooled. Everyone loved this guy. I don't feel that bad about this one because he was so highly rated. Such a solid pick. It seemed like Sky Moore in the 8th round. That's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. He should have been in the 28th round. And then Tyler Lockett. He's fine. He was a fine pick, I think. He was consistent, at least for the year that I started him and then I traded him. But yeah, I don't really have many of these players still on my roster. If I'm looking right now, it's Justin Herbert, Ramondre Stevenson, and that is it. Wow, 2 players. And then as for tight ends, I take Dallas Goedert in the 6th round. No, I traded for Dallas Goedert, and I picked Dawson Knox, who I also traded for a first. Thanks, Seattle. And that rounds out my top 12, which is just horrific, just awful. It was a terrible draft. So whenever everyone's like, "Oh, Justin trades so much," because I had a horrific start. I put myself behind the 8 ball. This is a terrible startup, like truly awful. Worse than Tim at this point, if you ask me. I think Tim had a better team from the start. Like, that's crazy. Tim doesn't know anything about football. No offense, Tim. What are you doing? Just a horrific startup. I think I have rectified that. I made a ton of trades to help myself. I made a ton of trades that season. I picked up Terry McLaurin, Devontae Adams, Miles Sanders. Not good. Just really those 2 guys actually transformed my team. And I, picked up a ton of picks over the last couple of years. So yeah, just not good. Just not good at all, to be honest with you. Let's see, what time is it? It's 9:45. Been going at it 35 minutes. Do Seattle. I'll do Seattle. All right. Oh my god, I thought I had my mic muted this whole time. I would have gone insane. Rookie mistake. Well, I didn't make the mistake, but okay. Moving on to Seattle Alderman, another guy who makes trades in this. Another guy who makes trades in this league, and in this startup as well. Fourth guy in a row that makes a trade, which is good. I think trading is very important in a Dynasty League. Obviously, I've done a lot of it, but yeah. Seattle. Let's get started here. 6th pick. With his quarterback room, he starts off with Joe Burrow. This guy's got an erection for Joe Burrow. He's not allowed to watch this QB show, quarterback show, because he poked a hole in his TV from his couch. It was the erection. So, Joe Burrow is his quarterback. Great pick. Obviously missed out last year, 2 years ago due to injury, but when he's on the field, he's the best in the game, best in the league, one of the best in the league. So, fine pick. He takes Justin Fields in the 13th, which turns out to be a much better trade for him, or much better pick for him because of what he ends up getting from it in the future, for what he trades for it. But good pick. And then Marcus Mariota, not a great selection there. But what are you gonna do? It's the freaking 22nd round. You either take him or Desmond Ridder. So whatever. I don't hate that pick. All right, let's get started in his position players. 2nd round, he goes Austin Eckler. Good pick. I mean, he had 100 catches his first year on Seattle's team. Almost 1,000 yards rushing. He was the running back 1. Obviously, that's a good pick. I mean, for the first year, but he was 28. So, I don't know. Dynasty, do you take a 28-year-old running back in the first round? I almost did. I damn near did. Someone else does, but I don't know. I don't know if I can give you props for this one because he just hasn't been consistent at all the last couple of years. He's been terrible. He's on my team now. He's awful. So, a little early, I think. I don't disagree with why you picked him when you did, because he was the running back 1. But didn't turn out well. And then Leonard Fournette in the 4th round. Bucks fan, coming off a good 2021 season. Didn't really replicate it. I mean, he was okay, but he's out of the league now. I mean, that's an objectively bad pick. He had 1 good season. And now, Seattle's hoping to get running backs because, well, he picked 2 old guys, and then he picked Devin Singletary in the 8th round. Devin Singletary, I think, was the starter in Buffalo, so I will say that's a fine pick. He was fine for what you got him for in the 8th round or whatever it was. I like that pick for you. He was just fine. And then Rachaad White, you pick up there as a rookie, I believe. Yes, it's rookie backup for what you thought backup was Fournette. Had a great year in 2023. But is no longer viable. He's a backup. You keep him as a handcuff for Bucky. But overall, running backs, I think at the time, you had one of the better running back rooms in the league because of you had 3 starters for one, and you had 2 guys that were kind of nearing the end of their career, but they were still useful. So I think you went into this thinking maybe I'm just going to go for it in first year, try to win. It didn't happen, but decent running back room. Not terrible, not great. Moving on to receivers. Seattle's at Cooper Kupp with his 106, and Kupp has been not good. This is a bad pick, knowing what we know now. Obviously, he was coming off of a record-setting season. Almost 2,000 receiving yards, 16 touchdowns, Super Bowl MVP. Unbelievable season, and he's just had injury after injury after injury. And he's just not the same player he was. Now he's in Washington or Seattle. Not a great pick. you do end up trading him. I know that. And I think you get a decent return back for that. But I can't give you the props for this one. I'm sorry. You come back all the way down here in the 5th round. Sorry. I think I hear Lola or something back there. Come back here in the 5th round, pick up DJ Moore, who at this point was in Carolina. I think this was a great pick. If you kept him on your team, you ended up getting rid of him at the beginning of the 2nd season. I think he got off the ride a little early, but for what it's worth, like looking at it in the lens of this is a startup, this is a great pick for you in the 5th round. I think you get a great receiver there. And you come back with Rashad Bateman in the 6th round, where you trade back with Trev. He gets Amon-Ra, you get Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman's not that guy. Not that guy at all. And this is another bad pick. But at the time, I'm thinking Cup, DJ Moore, young receiver in Rashad Bateman. Not a bad little receiving core there. Come back here in the 9th round and pick Christian Watson. 1, he's a Packer, and 2, he's been injured a lot in his career, and 3, he's just not that good. I'm a hater of Christian Watson for sure. He has a couple of decent games against the Lions. That has something to do with it, but overall, I'm not a fan of this pick at all. And I'm pretty sure I told you that at the time because, Packers hater. Then you come back in the 12th round and take a flyer on a guy who's not going to play for a year, and you take Calvin Ridley. And I don't hate this pick at all. I think this was actually a smart pick because what you had was fine. You had a solid wide receiver 1 in Cup, solid wide receiver 2 in DJ Moore. You had a couple of flyers on Watson and Bateman. You could afford at this time to take a guy like Calvin Ridley, and he's been good after he came back from suspension. He's been very solid, so I think it's a fine pick. And yeah, just a good flyer, I think. I was a fan of this pick. Yeah, that rounds out his receivers through the first 12 rounds. And then we move on to tight ends, where he takes Pat Freiermuth in the 7th round. I like the idea here. Fringe tight end 1, young tight end, looking to get a ton of volume in 2022, and he did. But just hasn't really developed into what we maybe thought he was going to. He had a good season last year, very solid season last year, but I don't know how valuable he's going to be going forward, especially with Jonnu Smith being there, and just the incredible amount of uncertainty at the quarterback position in what's that town called? Pittsburgh. And then we have Irv Smith to round out the top 12. Just a bad pick. I'm sorry. Trey McBride went 1 pick before. That hurts. Did not know that. David Njoku went a couple picks after. Yeah, that's a rough pick there, Seattle. Overall, I think Seattle had a fine draft. I don't see anything down here. Pick Cole Beasley in the 24th round. Remember that? Cole Beasley. Yeah, not a great end of the draft, but really no one has a great end of the draft, especially looking at it now. Overall, though, I think Seattle had a fine team. They had a good year, good first year, good players. I like in 2022 Eckler. I like Fournette in 2022. Love Cup in 2022. In 2025, I love Burrow. I love DJ Moore. And that's about it. But I love Calvin Ridley, but partially on my team. So yeah, not a bad draft by Seattle there. Not a bad draft at all. What I wish I could do is go back and look at KTC or something and see what they say. See what they said about all of our teams in 2022. I'm looking at that, see if I can do that. I don't think you can. All right, we'll do one more team tonight till we get through pick 7, and then maybe tomorrow I'll finish out the startup. But we are going to go through Rahul's draft here, who for some reason made a ton of trades for late round picks. I mean, in the last 4 rounds, he had 8 picks, which is not really how you want to build your team there, Rahul, but whatever. And none of them aren't even in the league anymore. I guess, yeah, I thought it was Zamir White. Zaquandre White. Don't even know who that is. Jalen Weidermeyer. Oh my god, I thought he was going to be him. Britton Brown. You picked a guy named Britton Brown in the 20th round. I can't really fault you for that, but whatever. Okay, we're not here to talk about all of his bad picks. Oh my god, I just saw that. His name's Seattle picked Rob Gronkowski. He was retired. Okay, Rahul picking in the 7th slot. We're going to start with quarterbacks as usual, and he picks Lamar Jackson at the 406. Great pick. Cornerstone piece for your dynasty fantasy team. You really can't get much better than that. That's a home run, especially in the 4th round. Great pick. To round out his quarterback room, we picked up Carson Wentz, who I believe was starting in Washington at the time. Oh my god, that's right. That's when he went from Philly to Indianapolis to Washington. God, he's been on 6 different teams in the last 6 years. That's crazy. It's a lot of movement. Wait, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different teams in the last 5 years. He is now a free agent. Not a bad backup in 2022. And then he picked Tyler Huntley, the IRL backup for Lamar Jackson. Not a bad pick. I think you maybe want to get something better as your quarterback too. But that's just me. I don't know. I'm afraid of injuries. I'm especially afraid of injuries with Lamar Jackson. So, okay, moving on to running backs. We are with Rahul here. Oops. Roster. Rahul. Okay. Running backs. He then goes ahead and takes running back in rounds 2 and 3. He takes DeAndre Swift and Saquon Barkley. Barkley in the 3rd round is a home run. That's an unbelievable pick. How did he fall this far? I don't remember him falling this far. I guess coming off injury, 2 bad injuries, and it's proven to be a fantastic pick. Obviously, 2,000 yards last year is going to have something similar to that this year, no doubt in my mind. Best in the game, slightly better than Jahmyr Gibbs, but not much. But that's a great pick. DeAndre Swift, again, I see why he went this early, coming off of not that good of a year with Detroit, but he was young, projected to be the next guy who was going to be like an Austin Eckler, get 800, 900 yards of rushing output, and also be a viable receiving back. Was not good in 2022. Detroit shipped him off, way upgraded. He wasn't that great in Philly. He was okay. And he wasn't that great for the Bears. Fringe RB2, you'd want more out of that pick. You'd want more out of your second round pick. But at the time, I think it's the right pick. I think I think those two are both good picks. I think Barkley's a home run, and Swift is you never know. Rounding out the top 12 with running backs, he takes Tyler Algier in the 10th round, I want to say? 10th round, yes. And he has a 1,000-yard season. And then they draft Bijan Robinson, and he's no longer a viable fantasy asset. Good pick, good rental pick for a year, great RB3 for you, and really acted as an RB1 at times because Saquon didn't have that great of a year. No, I'm sorry. Swift didn't have that great of a year. And you had to deal with the whole Swift or Jamal Williams thing where one would, Jamal Williams would go off one game. DeAndre Swift was always hurt. He did pick Jamal Williams, and he had that whole headache to deal with. He picked him in the 14th round. So, yeah. Okay, moving on to receivers. He picked CeeDee Lamb with his number 1 overall pick. The number 7 overall pick. His first rounder. Home run pick. He can't get much better than CeeDee Lamb in today's NFL. And he's been very solid for Rahul. No longer on Rahul's team, but very solid for Rahul and whoever owns him. Just an easy home run pick. Comes back in the 5th round, goes wide receiver, running back, quarterback with Chris Olave, which I think at the time, rookie, the next Ohio State wide receiver. I still believe in Chris Olave. I did trade him. I still believe in Chris Olave because I think he's had bad luck with injuries, concussions, and bad quarterback play. But this is a good pick. 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. I was super high on him both years. I tried to trade for him both times. Both years, never got him. But I think it's a 5 pick at the 105. At the 507. Jeez. But yeah, I think he comes back with Mike Williams. I guess I see it. Coming off wide receiver 12 season, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns, but he really didn't ever do that before. Only had one other year eclipsing 1,000 yards, and the rest of the season weren't even close. So I don't know. I remember this pick. I don't love this pick for you here because he was wide receiver 3. I guess he picked him as your wide receiver 3, and he contributed that for a year, and since then he's been terrible. Well, he was injured last year and was not good in Pittsburgh this past year. And New York, he was the Jets. Now he's back with the Chargers and on my team. So then you pick Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm not a Juju Smith-Schuster fan. He did fine for the first year in Kansas City and in the Dynasty, and since then it's just been terrible. So it's a mediocre pick. It's fine. I see why you did it in 2022. And then Brandon Cooks. God, you were freaking shopping in the bargain bin for old folks. My God. Brandon Cooks has been a bad fantasy pick. He was a fantastic, plug and play. You want this guy on your fantasy team because he's gonna get you 1,000 yards, for most of his career, and you just jumped on the last at the wrong time, and he hasn't even eclipsed 700 yards since the startup. So, not a great pick. He's back in New Orleans now, where he started his career. Maybe he'll see a resurgence. I doubt it, but he's also on my freaking team, dude. I suck at this freaking game. And then to round out his top 12, he picked Rondale Moore. Young player, was actually kind of okay for Arizona as a rookie, and just has been not good at all. And then his tight ends, he goes Cole Kmet with the 907 and David Njoku with the 1206. I think that's a very good dynasty tight end duo there. Njoku, kind of a late bloomer, as a lot of tight ends are. He had a really good year last year, or 2023. Very consistent, very solid tight end preferred tight end. And then Cole Kmet, probably not going to get as much playing time going forward, but solid pick, solid tight end. Maybe not your tight end 1, but he's up there. He's a fringe tight end 1, tight end 2. I do want to draw your attention to his 17th round pick, Isaiah Likely. Solid pick there, 17th round. I definitely wanted him. I don't know why I didn't pick him. He's not been amazing. He had that crazy game to start the year. Everyone thought he was going to be, that guy, 26 points or whatever it was, 111 yards, a touchdown, almost another touchdown at the end of the game, but his foot was on the line or whatever. But yeah, not a terrible draft for Rahul. But not great. I don't know. I'm trying to think of it in this 2022 lens. It's a great draft in 2022. I think he didn't make the playoffs. I know he did make the playoffs, but I don't know. I don't know what happened to your team. I think it was pretty good. And now you're picking at the 101 or 102, whatever it was. What happened to your rule? What happened? I guess we will find out as we go through. Okay, that'll be it for this podcast today. We had 53 minutes, a little bit of a longer one than last time, so not bad. Tomorrow, if we do it tomorrow, or if I do it tomorrow, I don't know. We're going to go through Orlando, Taylor, Dylan, Joe, and Nate. A couple of guys who don't make any trades, and then a couple of guys who make a lot of trades. And Joe and Dylan. And I'm sure they will want to talk about their startups, but we aren't doing that yet. We will eventually have guests, so kind of, maybe I should have done this at the beginning, but I'll do it at the end. If you're listening, if you did listen, you told me, but we're going to have guests coming on soon, so next week, look out for guests. I'm going to try to get through this, what's it called? Try to get through this history of the league first, and then we'll do some guests. But all right, that's it for today. Almost an hour long piece of content there for you. Hope you all enjoy. Let's see, which is the text word this time? I just want to see who's listening to the end. Don't skip to the end, by the way. I might have to throw this in the middle. Um, let's have the word be. Let's have the word be keyboard. I don't know. So it's the 15th thing I saw. Keyboard. If you made it this far, text me the word keyboard. Text me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. And yeah, that'll be it for today. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next one.